So for a while here, the experience has been one of, we could say, individuality, separation, a me going to know me, and then coming back to me, and then the seeker being restarted. And it's been really frustrating to go to the experience of oneness, of no separate self, and then watching it get recreated again. And it was interesting. I was just sitting at a coffee shop just now, and it suddenly dawned on me that there's actually no such thing as a seeker at all. Like, we can talk about it, and it seems like it's a bit of a misnomer to talk about a seeker. Like, there can be the energy of seeking present. Seeking can be happening, but spontaneously you realize there's no such thing as a seeker when there never was. And when you realize that, it's kind of like whatever remaining seeking energy, if there was some still present, it feels like the driving, like there needs to be a seeker for seeking to continue happening. And when it's recognized that there's not a seeker and there never was, and thus there's nothing to transcend, it's almost like the remaining seeking energy, it's like a bicycle tire that when you stop pedaling, it slowly starts to just stop on its own without you having to do anything, just by realizing that there's no seeker there. I've tried doing, inquiry, who is seeking, right, that whole thing, and I've noticed in the past it just kind of gets stuck at the mental level, just because there's been experiences here that you recognize there isn't a me. And because that's seen so clearly, it can become a trap for inquiry, because it's like you struggle to go beyond that because you know that there's no me, and yet you still experience a me. And it's a really weird place to be. So it's kind of like spontaneous inquiry, spontaneous realization. And then when you see there's no me, there's no seeker, it's just like, oh, well, that totally takes the whole driving force out of the seeking energy itself, and it's just boom. And it's interesting, there's also been the experience of oneness. And, I can say, I am one with the divine. What I am, my isness is one with God, one with the totality, with the absolute, whatever words you want to use to describe the ineffable. But what was interesting is you can still find that there's suffering that's present. There's still, it's like, this isn't as great as I thought it would be. There's still something off about it. I can still be one with the divine and experience that, and yet suffering is still present. If oneness is what it's all about, then enlightenment ain't all cracked up, what's the expression? Ain't all what it's cracked up to be. It's like something is still off about this. This idea, I am one with that. And it's interesting, from the place of oneness, that's not fully it. And it wasn't until I had a guru come into my life and point this out to me that I was like, okay, it's pretty obvious. Not only if oneness can be present and there's still all this suffering and anxiety present, then obviously something is still off here. Oneness is not the, it. And then when there's a sort of letting go of oneness, of trying to maintain it as a state or an experience, is suddenly there's like, I don't want to say beyond oneness, but maybe prior to oneness, there's like this nothingness. Just, I guess we start to get kind of, the semantics and the wording may get a little bit tough at this point. But, we do what we can. And it's like you recognize that there's no, like, what is there? There is awareness. And there is this flow. This total flow that's not directed, it's not guided, it's not controlled, it's not manifested, there's no creator to create the created, there's no duality there, there's just the flow. And from this place of flow, if there is something that's directing, it's totally beyond the intellectual or the ego, it's totally beyond anything in this world at all. It's not a physicalized being that's directing or creating any of this. There's just this flow. And it's amazing, from this place of flow and like genuine surrender, because there's not even somebody here to surrender, there's just this openness, this spaciousness. And you find that out of this sense of awareness and flow, this incredible sense of peace arises, and love, which it's not like, I love you, man, I want to show you how much I love you, and I have all these warm, fuzzy feelings for you. It's a different type of love. It's like this, it's closer to a sense of appreciation. It's like you can look at somebody or something, and the love that arises has nothing to do with their looks, with their personality, with their appearances, with anything of this world. It's like this deeper recognition of, I guess you can call it the divine, in all beings, in all things. And thoughts about the person, if they even come up, are secondary. They're not used to judge love or to decide who I'm going to, like, sure, maybe, some people's personalities you like more than others, but that is so secondary that that's just thought. It has nothing to do with what's deeper, what's present, what's here. It's seeing that thought is rarely believed anymore. And from the space of not even believing your thoughts, it's like you don't even focus on the thoughts, if there are any that are arising. There's this sort of presence that is always here, the here itself, this moment. This itself is seen, what used to be seen as the now moment, so what? There's nothing to it, really. Now it's like there's this ineffable silence. There's so much more to the silence, to presence, to life, this deeper quality to it that there's, it's always here. If you want to go from the perspective of time, you can say it always was and it always will be. And also recognizing the difference between the realization of it, the experience of it, the recognition of it, and it itself. You can realize that this is the case and then try to cling to the realization and make it a concept, make it an experience, make it something you want to maintain. And I've done that many times, and it's been a tough trap to deal with. And we cling to the experience of bliss or oneness or whatever spiritual experiences, pleasurable experiences that we want to maintain and continue. And so long as we make the experience of it the main event, then we miss the isness that doesn't come and go. Like, experiences change, realizations come and go. What you realized, last week, today it's common knowledge. It's not a big deal. It's like, well, yeah, of course that's the case. Realizations kind of lose their sense of, wow. The insights are not that big a deal after a while. It's not about the realizations. It's not about the experiences. It's not about the insights. Although those certainly happen, and they're wonderful and they're amazing. They come and they go. What's being pointed to here is something beyond what we traditionally talk about as a realization or an experience. They call it the eternal because it is. The unchanging, the uncreated, the ineffable. It just is. And it's so obvious when we stop trying to cling to our realizations or our knowledge, our experiences. It's more an unknowing. It's like you start letting go of all the things that you've read in books and the quotes and the understandings and the realizations, and you just allow them to drop away because after a while you don't need them anymore. You just let them fall. And in this falling, it's closer to say that I don't know than I do know. And in this not knowing, this genuine not knowing, and this peace and allowing yourself to not know and finding a sense of comfort and well-being and not knowing, in that there's a space created for the unknown to just reveal itself on its own. And because there's a sense of allowance for the unknown, for all the known to fall, not that you dismiss the known or reject it in any way, it's let go because it's seen to be not the savior that I thought it was. We think, if I read the books and I get all the understandings and the knowledge and I can quote the gurus, that's what enlightenment's about. And it's not. And it's just, you drop away into I don't know.